Hello everyone, it's Tim, just checking in again. I wanted to do a quick example on regression. I know there's a couple of videos in Canvas already, but hopefully another one might help, as well as just hopefully clarifying what exactly regression is. So as the book noted on page 203, again, I would really recommend reading through chapter 10 several times this week. It says regression, which is a numerical method for trying to predict the value of one measurement variable from knowing the value of another. So essentially what we're trying to do is we are trying to predict the value of one thing when we know the other. So I just made up some data here on GPA and expectations for the class. Let's say this is a 1 to 10 scale on how well you feel like you're going to do in the class, 10 being highest, 1 being lowest. So what we're interested here is, can we predict your expectations for the class based on your GPA coming into the class? And to do this, we need a couple different features. We need to figure out the intercept. And to solve the intercept, we simply type in equals intercept, and then it'll say known y's. And our known y is our outcome variable, and that is expectations. So we take care of that data, and then we hit comma, known y's. Again, I'm following the guide right here for known x's, and x is our explanatory variable, which is GPA. And then I hit parentheses, and I get an intercept of -0.285. So sometimes when we get our intercept, it doesn't make any logical sense, because really what the intercept says is, what is someone's, for this, it would be what is someone's expectations for the class when their GPA was 0, and we'll get into that in a second. But that really doesn't make any intuitive sense, which often happens with intercepts, because the scale for expectations was 1 to 10, so a negative score is impossible. But we'll get past that in a second. The second part we need is the slope. And to calculate this, we go equals slope, parentheses, again our known y's, so B2 to B31, comma, again following this helpful guide here, our known x is GPA, so A2 to A31. And again, your known y is your outcome variable. So what are you interested in predicting? Your known x is your explanatory variable, comma, 2.5188 is the slope. So when we think about what does this all mean, and I'm going to go back to the y equals a plus bx formula on page 211. And really what this allows us to do is it allows us to predict the expectations for our class to do well in the class based on your GPA. So let's take a look at someone with a 2.0 GPA versus a 3.0 GPA. And to solve this, we would go equals our intercept, because that's our A, plus our B, which is our slope, which is this, times our x. And our x for this would be 2.0, so 2. And we get a 2.21 as our predicted value. So our expectations to do well in the class would be pretty low if we had a 2.0 GPA. Let's look at what our expectations to the class would be based on a 3.0 GPA. So again, equals, looking at the y equals a plus bx model, so we plug in our intercept because that's our a, plus our b, which is our slope, b equals slope, and our slope is 2.518, times our x. And our x right here is 3.0 GPA, because we're trying to predict our expectations based on the fact that we have a 3.0 GPA. And we get a score of 4.73. So our expectations are predicted to be much higher if we have a 3.0 GPA, it appears, based on a 2.0 GPA. And while we're at it, let's just do a 4.0 GPA. So what's your expectations to the class based on your GPA? So again, equals anytime you do a formula in Excel, do equals the intercept, which is our A, plus bx, and again, b is our slope, times 4. And we get a predicted expectation of 7.25. So again, our expectations to do well in the class are higher based on our GPA in the class. And again, this isn't exact. So the book tries to talk about this a little bit, but on average, if your GPA is 2.0, you will have expectations of a 2.2 on this like imaginary 1 to 10 scale. That doesn't mean that for everyone with a GPA of 2.0 that their expectations will be a 2.2, but it's just based on average. That's typically what would happen if you have a 2.0 GPA, a 3.0, and a 4.0. So hopefully this helps you out, and please let me know if you have any questions, okay? Take care.